Hi, you have come across the Watercolor Westport Stories podcast, and whether you were looking for us or stumbled across us, we're really happy you're with us today. Today we have the opportunity to meet a community builder. We have this podcast to build community, to give you insights into watercolor and to the vision behind Watercolor Westport. And today we have someone who's been part of the Westport community for a number of years and has contributed in leadership roles. And now he is joining our team at Land Ark Homes. And it is a joy for us to sit down together. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so it's Paul Millar. I'm really glad you're here today. I know that you have recently joined our host team in the model home. Mm-hmm. And your first day was the Hop and Shop, which we're around the Christmas season when this is being recorded. So that is a day in Westport when we have, actually it's a weekend, when you have the opportunity to go amongst various different shops, hop around the village, gather up a passport. And watercolor was one of the stops this year where we had makers in the model home. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that day.
Yeah, it was a very exciting day. It certainly is the busiest day at the model home of the year, because especially being one of the stops and having 4 artisans, very unique artisans with us, metal worker, candle maker, a painter, and then a jewelry maker. It was a great place to be. And so a lot of families from the community will come and shop and hop with the kids because it's fun for them to fill out the passports and they can win a gift basket. And when my kids were young, we would always take them. And there was some concern that it was rigged because the pulling of the names for the gift baskets, because for 2 years in a row, our family won. And so the third year I said, we're going to shop around and hop, but we're not even putting the passport in, because if we win 3 years in a row, we'll never hear the end of it. So, but it's great because it just brings lots of people to our model home.
Yes.
And so many folks in the community that I know well, and it's just neat for them to see this new way that I'm seeking to contribute to the wider community of Westport. So it was really fun.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Yeah. I know in other years we've hosted workshops and had a more interactive type of creative opportunities. We did a wreath making one year we did card painting.
I know Chef Francois was there with a cooking demonstration. We did a cooking demonstration. Yeah. So every year we try to bring a different flavor to that weekend. But I think this year was really nice for us to just allow people to enjoy our home and our space. Yes.
And say you're welcome here, and just throw the doors wide open and just make it a really welcoming environment.
And to see the model home with a lot of life in it, right? Mm-hmm. And the Shop and Hop was always a great kickstart to the Christmas season for us as a family, but that just it was great, and there were lots of treats eaten. And,
nice.
And I'm not sure when this will go out, but I know there's still some Ferrero Rochers in the model home. So if people make their way soon, they might still get some. But
yeah, you'll have to stay out of the pantry yourself.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. So I would love to hear. I know Stephen and you have been friends for many years, as he and I have been connected for many years. And you have seen the evolution of the vision of what it would be like to add to a vibrant, beautiful village, new homes. And when we first began this journey, we talked about the new homes, the new life, and the new possibilities. So I would love to hear just a little bit about what those early days were like from your perspective.
Yeah, thanks. I found it was interesting. Oftentimes, for much of my kind of career life, I've been a pastor, and oftentimes people would come and they would visit Westport, and they would say to me, Paul, you know what? The word when I come into Westport, and they would be about to tell me, and I'd say, actually stop, just stop for a second.
Yeah.
And I'd get a piece of paper and I'd write down a word and I'd fold it up and just put it on the table. I said, what was the word you were thinking of? And they said, it's restoration. And I said, look at the paper. And they'd open up the paper and I'd written restoration. Because after 4 or 5 people, that word came when they just came and visited and were in Westport. Yeah. And I was just like, I just want to test and see if you're sensing, feeling the same thing that others did. And so very early on, when there was not a shovel had gone into the ground, walking with Stephen and Kevin and a few other local community folks to see what might be possible on this land. As Stephen has shared, while homes have been renovated over the years, the new home hadn't been built in about 100 years in Westport. And so in a way it has remained untouched, not unloved, very loved.
Very loved, yes.
And very just life-giving for those who call it home.
Sure.
But what might happen here if others could find a home here as well? And so we would, walk the land, we'd pray, we'd reflect, we'd just think, what might be the vision here? And certainly with no idea that I would ever be part of the Land Ark or the watercolor team. Right. That wasn't even a thought. It was just, I love the sense of people finding home, and that this might happen in a place that my wife and my kids and I has been home to us for so long. Yeah.
Those early days are times of great reflection and promise too. That sense that something really special is going to happen here. And I don't think that's going to change. I think that every season of what's happening here, there's going to be that restoration of just different aspects of what can come to life when there are so many people pulling in the same direction with such care and intentionality that they want to see that better place to call home come to life, and everyone bringing a different component of what that can look like. I mean, right down to whether or not we put birdhouses on the trail or a moose in the park now.
That went in today.
That went in today. You have this sense of constant expectation.
Yeah,
and in a very good way.
Well, in a very good way, because from the beginning, even for Stephen, I know it came from a place of love and appreciation from the outside of Westport, and a sense and there are people who I have met. They've been coming even from southern U.S., but they come to Westport and have maybe an old family cottage or something like that, and they've come year after year for decades as this place away to catch their breath, maybe to restore. And for Stephen, I know that it started out of a love and appreciation for Westport. And Mark Snyder, who's the amazing land planner,
yes, he is,
has grown up here and loves this community. I know the desire has been not that watercolor felt like a thing that was happening to Westport, but that it was an extension of the nature and heart of what Westport is, so that others can find a home here. And so that care and attention, it isn't airlifting some mass market team to stick a, I came from Ottawa, so for kind of a Barhaven style,
a subdivision somewhere,
thing, just plunk it somewhere.
Right.
That every decision has been a lot more thoughtful and out of a care and a love for this community. Yeah.
It's permeated, I think, everything that Land Ark has tried to bring to life in terms of, from writing a storybook before a shovel goes in the ground to trying to create on-site events so people can get to meet and greet and know each other and feel known. And that journey brings along a lot of peripheral sort of side effect type of things that you didn't necessarily set out to do, but you're reaping the harvest of, if you know what I mean. And it's been really lovely to watch that too. And I wonder how many people you have had the pleasure of interacting with that have had that greater wellness experience by moving here.
You know, it's interesting because you said reaping the harvest of, and what I've been experiencing for a number of years now is that it's not just the reaping of the harvest for those who find a home here, but for those who have lived here for a long time. So for those who have lived here for a long time, who may have been part of a smaller team on Westport in Bloom that keeps all the beautiful plants and hanging baskets and flowers everywhere, or the Arts Council, or any of these amazing volunteer organizations. The Lions Club, the Legion, the thrift shop where all the proceeds go towards, children and family needs in the community and things like that. All of these people from Westport, maybe more generationally, have had all of these amazing people move in who are so excited to become a part of these things and see them grow and flourish because they've found home here. And on the flip side, for those, not on the flip side, well, the other side of the same coin is those who have found a home here to actually find groups and communities of care, from animal shelters to preventing another Westport stray, and like caring for the cats that are around, and that I've got to say I've lived in many cities and that across Canada, and I can't imagine a higher concentration of opportunities and things to do per capita than small Westport.
Really?
It's just so many opportunities to be involved in different aspects of life that are fascinating and interesting. And so it's a wild thing to uproot your life. It's not easy.
No,
you think of the moving and the packing and that, but if you just kind of live in a house and then you're uprooting, it's where do I want to replant my life, right? And is it worth waiting a year to replant my life? Where it's like, you know what? I'd rather, instead of 5 years to be in the place where I want to be, I'd rather 5 months or, 5 weekends from now to actually be sitting, in this new place, in this place that I long to be. And so not just the benefits of that, but to enter into a community that there is opportunity to find, walking clubs and groups to walk with, and pickleball and tennis courts and basketball courts and an arena and a great library and probably the most beautiful little classic post office you'll see in any small town anywhere in Canada. So it astounded me when my wife and I and our 3 boys moved to this community 14 years ago, that we just had to pick the things we wanted to be involved in.
Right. There's a museum.
There's a museum, right?
Yeah, many communities wouldn't have the social capital to be able to look after all of these treasures.
Absolutely.
And to do it so well.
You can't just do that in a town or a village. You can only do that in a community.
Yeah. That's
where people are connected to one another and desire to be connected to one another. But then not just to be busy all the time, to then go sit by the water. To take your boat out, to hike a trail, to have all of that all within, a few minutes of walking is remarkable.
Yeah. Not always to have to be doing, but actually be living.
That's it,
Right.
It sometimes I think people can, out of their exuberance and all the things that there is to do and be involved in Westport, sometimes might overdo it and realize, but I do want, there's a whole other aspect of serenity and peace and stillness in nature that's to be enjoyed as well, to have a really balanced life.
So 14 years in Westport?
Yes.
And where all those other places, how many other cities were you in?
So
just to get to know you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. My wife and I was 36 when we bought our home, just 5-minute drive that way, but my sons usually will bike about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to come in, and they just bike in from where we live, a little rural, to hang out with friends and to go fishing and things like that.
Awesome.
When you have your kids just hopping on their bike with their fishing poles, and a thing of bait in the backpack and saying, yeah, I'm going to meet up with the guys and we're going to fish off the bridge. It's like,
that's out of a storybook. It's
it
a dreamy.
Is out of a storybook,
it's totally dreamy. Yeah. I remember meeting one of your sons at the Westport market with his chocolate chip cookies that were delicious.
Yes, secret family recipe.
Yeah, but he was a young boy at the time. This is 5 years ago, so I don't know how old he is now.
Yeah, he's 14 now.
Yeah, so he was 10 maybe?
He was 9 when he started his cookie business.
9 when he started the cookie business.
Yeah.
And just even to have that opportunity, to be welcomed into the grown-up world of the Westport market, which is a beautiful market, but to feel like he was part of something.
Oh, yeah. He was there every weekend and with Casey Kudrinko, and we were able to, my son negotiated a fair price. Casey didn't want to charge my son anything to use the 10-layer convection oven because our little home oven, you can only do so many cookies.
I'm sure, yeah.
But Casey was really generous, but I said, no, actually I want you to charge my son something because I want him to think in terms of you're adding value. And so Casey would
make a business model for how many cookies do I have to sell.
Charge a small amount, but then go buy twice as much worth of cookies at the end, right? Because Casey didn't want to have any financial benefit, just wanted to encourage Henry, and so Henry would, and so he was, got to the point where he's bringing 1,200 cookies and selling out every time at the market, and
amazing.
All the entrepreneurs are like, "Oh, good to see you again, Henry," as he was there every weekend, and so it's different.
Yeah,
it's just different.
Yeah,
and so as you'd asked, I mean, ultimately, my life, Ottawa, Victoria, Vancouver, several different places in there. Back to Ontario, several different homes. So when I was 36 and we purchased our home on 9th Concession, it was the 17th home I'd lived in when I was 36.
Wow.
I should say I lived in 16 houses, but it was the first home we found. And the houses I'd lived in is a catch-all because it was apartments, it was houses, it was townhouses, it was here, there, and everywhere. But an average of every 2 years, uprooting and uprooting and uprooting. And
that's so much change.
Yeah, but moving here, I was always used to traveling light because,
Yeah, if you move that often, you purge every time and thin out.
And also, I became used to not having roots anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was after about 5 or 6 years, I said, I think we found home. I felt like I could start to actually settle in, not be ready to go again.
Okay.
And so it's been a beautiful thing to have had lots of houses of varying sizes, from small apartments, very small apartments, outside the main floor elevator of an apartment building, which I was like, why is this so cheap? And then it's, the drunk people coming in at 2 a.m. Yelling, and I'm outside the main floor elevator. Okay, that's why this is a discounted apartment.
Right.
And but to then finally find a place to start to set down roots. And kind of always maybe thinking, I just won't have that. I'm this far in life.
Just thinking that wasn't going to be in your story.
Yeah, just kind of always be kind of nomadic.
Okay.
But, it's never too late to start to set down roots somewhere in a place that feels like home.
Sure.
And it wasn't the building. I grew up learning not to be, to tie the structure that I'm in with any sense of home, because the structure was always changing.
Yeah.
And so
you had to have a different formula, a different recipe for yourself.
And so home was a lot more than this is the place I've always been, because there was never a place I was at very long. But now to be here 14 years and, it's nice to find home.
Yeah, it is, I'm sure. And there are some things that are unique about the natural elements that are here. The creative elements of creation that surrounds you that I think I used to say were reserved for the fortunate few because they could live in this place.
Right.
And now we're expanding that as an opportunity. But there is a natural beauty that is unmistakable.
Yeah. And I think that, the opportunity there is kind of a different kind of life. And oftentimes our work life is our work life. But every so often I'm on a few national boards, and so every so often I have to go to Mississauga for different meetings.
Sure.
And this is the thought that happens every time, Wafa, when I'm driving home and I'm stuck on the 401. I look around and I'm just thinking, how do you all do this? And I start to feel the tension, and then I say, oh, wait a second. I'm going to bed in Westport tonight. You all have to do this again tomorrow, and I don't know how that's even possible. Eventually this highway will clear, and even if it's late,
I'll be out of here.
I'm going to bed in Westport tonight.
Right.
So, okay.
Right.
And I just turn on the relaxing music and just, all right.
Yeah.
I know I'm going home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's a necessity sometimes for people to make different choices. And I think what we're trying to do is to expand the horizon of choices that people can have by choosing to live in a walkable village, by giving up that sea of brake lights and saying, I don't want that to be my story. And even at a younger age, to look forward and say, if I have the opportunity to maybe work remotely or find employment in the near community, that can change the trajectory of the quality of life that you enjoy. Because if you think about the number of hours that you can spend in that gridlock, it's not a positive contribution to your well-being.
Well, that's exactly
right. In fact, it's a negative.
It's a net negative.
It's
right?
a very negative. But for most people, to be able to sit back and consider a different choice.
Well, and I always found in everything in life, and sometimes it's in our occupation, it's in any aspect of life, something can be either life-giving or life-taking. And sometimes, even if we love our work or our job, there are times where, okay, it's the busy season, we got to knuckle down, and we're okay with life-taking for a while because we love what we do when we know, okay, this is going to sap some of my energy. But if we're living a life and we have some intensity, is how do we refill that, not just to get back to zero, but to have actually a life-giving overall life, that the net positives outweigh those things that are life-taking, or we can do those things because sometimes we need that extra stillness or calm or just rejuvenation, so that, hey, in this area of my life, or maybe it's even a family situation or ailing parents, that it's important, and we wouldn't say no to that, but it's a life-taking thing. It takes a lot. So can we find a place where we can find restoration in our lives, right? And so I think that's the beauty, as you ask about nature, the one thing I love about, there is not a single straight road to Westport because we are surrounded by lakes.
That's true.
So I actually love the roads. And
if you look at a map, you can't get here in a straight line.
And it's just like, that's great. There's no straight line here because you're going through rock cuts and by the lakes and you find your way. And every entrance to Westport, even coming from Kingston, you have the reveal of the Upper Rideau Lake. Yeah. And then you see the Westport sign, and it's like, that could be home. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There is a journey to discovering new things in life, and you're going to be companioning people on that journey in your role. What's your first invitation? What's the first thing that you think, if I was coming to check this place out, what's a good first step?
Yeah, I think a really good first step is, and certainly when people are coming and visiting the model home, is the two questions that people seem to have is, the first one when they're visiting a model home is the sense of, is this a good builder? And walking people around and people who know building, that question is answered very quickly. And I think sometimes people sense, well, can I see any other homes? Because maybe you just did the model home really nice. Right. It's like, well, here's some of the move-in ready homes. And it's like, oh, okay, so these standards are across the board. So that question gets answered quite easily. And I don't have to, you either see it or you don't. And I think people just see it here and feel it here. And the other question is that question of, if I'm going to uproot my life, is this where I want to replant my life? And so then it's more of a conversation. I was speaking with someone who lives in a downtown Toronto condo. And I said, this is a unique and a special life, but it's very different than downtown condo life. And so it is, what am I looking for at this stage of my life? And, you know, even with some of that conversation, it was, I work the majority from home. And my commute to the team meeting once every 2 weeks in the office, because of where they live, is an hour and 45-minute drive to get to East Toronto. To the Scarborough area to go to the office.
Just to do that once every couple weeks.
Just to do that. And they said, well, if there's fiber internet here, if I leave on that one day for the meetings, I'm in Scarborough in 3 hours. And then at the end of the day, I get to go to bed in Westport. And then 2 weeks later, I'll just do that drive. But the in-between is just a different kind of life. I remember bringing, you talk about nature, I remember bringing my sons who grew up in Westport to Toronto, and we stayed in a hotel, and it was in the evening, and we opened up the curtains, and there's an orange glow.
Right, yeah.
And they said, Dad, when did they turn off those lights? I said, they don't. And they said, so it's never dark here?
Wow. And
it just blew their mind that they lived in a glowing city. Or that people could find a stillness in. For us, it's,
or even just to go out into the yard at night and look up at that sky and say, you know, there's a...
And for me to literally be able to walk out our front door and point up and say, see that white streak that almost looks like a distant cloud along the sky? That's actually the Milky Way galaxy. You certainly don't see that in a glowing city.
No, you do not.
And it's just, but for them...
You sleep with your earplugs on and hope not to hear the sirens all night.
Yeah,
it's
I think
very
as a
different.
parent, sometimes as parents, we kind of, you know, envy our kids sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like...
Simplicity and the observations they make. Yeah.
For them to grow up in this community is, it's actually normal for them to... You know, we have an amazing fishing bridge near our home, and you know, when you watch one or two of your sons just in a pair of shorts and flip-flops with their tackle box and their fishing pole walk down to fish the creek, you feel like you've gone back to, like you said, a storybook, a different time. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. What about so if someone were to arrive, what do you think is a reasonable, like how much time should they take to come and either visit the model home or visit the village to really get a sense of what it's like to live here?
Yeah.
Because we've noticed, you know, it's taking people 2-3 visits over maybe, you know, a year or more to make this transition. What are some of the first stops you think that should be on their way?
Yeah, it would definitely. I mean,
the local knowledge.
Yeah, certainly the local knowledge, and I certainly won't pick, you know, one business over another.
No.
But I think there are some key things. I was walking with a couple yesterday, and they said, if our grandkids are living here as well, you know, we kind of like to walk them to the local elementary Catholic school. How far of a walk is that? I'm like, well, if you go slow, it's about 4 minutes. Well, what about the public school? Oh, that's farther. That would be about 8 or 9 minutes to walk there with them, you know, if you want to get your steps in, but it's not that many steps.
Right.
We have something that we're very proud of in Westport, which is a shift for people coming from the city, is aside from the Circle K and the Esso, the gas station, we don't have chain stores in Westport.
Right.
So the beautiful thing is pretty much all the businesses there, the owner-operator, the owner's in the store. And so, I always encourage people, and we like to, when people come and visit, to give them a $50 gift certificate so they can, grab a meal in Westport or do some shopping in some of the local shops.
Okay.
Just
nice.
to walk around, imagine the model home as your home, and take a stroll. Walk through the Kadrinkos, the grocery store. Small, not a chain grocery store.
No.
And what I found with Casey is, I grew up eating very international food, and I say, is there any chance you're able to get in this or that, especially, the more unique Indian food items, which we always grew up eating.
Okay.
And yeah, absolutely, and
amazing.
And so and Casey and Martha and Kadrinkos have won so many different awards, even
the quality of the produce, the selection.
The produce
you're
awards.
Hard pressed to find something that or to look for something that you will not find.
That's right.
It's quite remarkable, actually, in a store.
I actually don't know how they get all of what they get into that store. It's really amazing, and the staff are amazing. And so definitely that sense of definitely check out the local grocery store.
Okay.
Definitely visit the restaurants, even just, look at the posted menus. In watercolor, we have a great kind of a bulletin board that's got a nice roof over it. And, the Cove has live music every night of the week. And
there's that entrance bulletin board on New Haven Gate.
Yeah, New Haven Gate.
Yeah.
Where they can see, and it's always full. And I remember my wife and I go for a walk, and I would look at it and think, oh, some of these must be out of date because there's so many things on here.
So many things tacked on
everything
the board.
is current.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it's like, this is a village.
Much to do.
How is there these many options of things to do? And for seniors, and there's Westport Seniors Living and Westport Seniors Association, and they're having coffees and teas and game nights and even informational nights. I think the one coming up is, what is ChatGPT?
Such a good thing.
Yeah,
just have conversations with other people and learn alongside
or
them.
even learn how to talk to your grandkids and know what at all they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And so we like to give people a gift certificate to pop into some of the shops and
great start.
Yeah,
great start.
If this is going to be a regular grocery store,
right?
Start there.
Yeah. Start with the practical things. Because there are lots of beautiful shops within the village for all of the luxury items and the extra things, which are also part of just joyful living, and that's just great, and dining, and all of those wonderful new merchants that we have that have opened up even since watercolor started, which is really exciting to watch.
And to have it like a premier furniture store is amazing.
Yes.
Where it's all,
Canadian made.
90% is all Canadian made. And Greg and Deanne there are delightful and lovely. And so, I mean, there are just so many folks to meet. And, when you go to some of the great, Music Westport or the Westport Festival or some of these things, and you're sitting next to and chatting with the grocery store owner or the restaurant owner or Greg and Deanne, and you're in community with your neighbors. And, it feels different than anything I experienced in any other place I've lived.
Yeah. So we do encourage people to come for that visit, and then if they have the opportunity to stay for a couple of days and explore some of the villages that surround Westport and kind of get an idea of their place, a sort of community life that grows here, because you do have people that are going to Portland or Crosby or Newborough, other villages in the area that have lots to offer too.
That's it. And one thing that I've been very thankful for is, having spent many years as a pastor, and the conversations with Stephen is like, obviously for me and how I'm wired, my honesty and my integrity is not for sale.
Absolutely.
And that's why I really have appreciated Stephen's heart, in that we want people who are looking for a place to find home,
yes,
if this is the right home, and not just the structure, but to find home here. And if it's not, let's help direct them to a place that might be more fitting, because Stephen especially knows really high quality builders in every town, city, basically in Canada. And so because we live here, we'll be seeing you every day. And so we want you to be really happy that you chose to make a home here, and not saying, hey, you told me it was this and that.
Right.
Because we'll see you at Music Westport. We'll see you on Canada Day.
We almost want to under-promise and over-deliver rather than the opposite.
And so my real role is to walk alongside people and is this where you'd like to replant your life? And if it isn't, that's okay. But if there's some dissatisfaction with where you are now, let's at least help you find where might be the right place for you, right? And not just try to force everybody into a home in Westport. But for those who are looking for this shift of, nature and neighbor and connection and community, that balance that's here, if like my wife and I, it's the right balance for you, then it becomes home.
There's a lot of psychology behind decision making, and oftentimes we act because we feel a gap of what is versus what we want it to be.
Right.
And it could be as simple as, I made this dinner, but I really want that one, so I'm going to go find a recipe to get there.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be complicated things. It's amazing the gaps that we bridge. And I really feel that someone like yourself in our home buyer journey is helping that person bridge that gap. There's a dissatisfaction or a necessity that's causing them to choose to want to move. And it's interesting, the different stories that we hear from homeowners, and I'm sure the next time we sit down, you'll have some real life stories to share from experiences of people who have bridged a gap by moving here, because they were here and they felt the need that they needed to move. And
it's that sense of seeing that if there's a dissatisfaction in just my practical life and in my spiritual life, the idea of a future promise and a future hope in my life, in every way, I want to be moving towards what is life-giving. And
beautifully put.
And so if people are in a place where it's just like it doesn't fit, or I there's some dissatisfaction, it is. I wouldn't want to be dishonest and say, if you move to a home in watercolor in Westport, your life will be what, because that's not honest.
No.
But if this aspect of your life, if it could be better, if you are looking for a future promise and hope, this may be what you're looking for. And if not, let's help you find what might really, right? And so to walk alongside you and not try to get you into something, but help you to find something.
There's a really good difference there. It's not that, it's something, as you experience decision making too, when you're being pushed into something versus when you're being offered an opportunity that fits you. What is it about the homes themselves in terms of, you've been learning, I know you've been deep diving into the technical side of the homes. What inspires you about the way that Land Ark is building homes here in Westport?
Well, it's amazing the change that happens over time, Wafa, because I was a part of an amazing church in Ottawa for 9.5 years, doing youth and outreach and at-risk youth center, and that was great. And then I took a break from that, and for 2 years, the Ontario government used to have something called the microfit program. And so you could put 10 kilowatt solar systems on your roof or on ground mount, things like that, and sell it back to the grid and make a good return on your investment. And I did that for 2 years, and just the environmental awareness is something that's been very meaningful to my wife and I. We actually met that company, do that kind of system on our own property, and at the Go Green Expo in Ottawa, and it was just through meeting and talking to them, we ended up saying, like, we're in alignment here of our our care of creation and our stewardship of creation. And then for the last 14 years to be able to bring leadership to just an amazing church in this community with amazing people. And it's still such an amazing church. But I'm so excited because of this environmental stewardship and this sense of even what's happening and the fact that in the place that I call home, something groundbreaking is happening kind of for the first time in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's happening in this place.
Here. Yeah.
And this is what really has struck me. So there's all of the net zero, which is meaningful to me. But I think that I stood on the hilltop park and I looked out to my left and I saw cornfields and I saw the history of the area where people lived off the land, right? And I kind of looked to my right and I saw the kind of original village of Westport. In a way, it's kind of living on the land. And a good example is Spring Street. And people say, well, where's the spring? Well, I said, it's in pipes under the road and that got paved over. And then it comes out at the harbor and there's a nice little butterfly garden that is put in there that's maintained by volunteers in the community, and a pollinator garden, so for bees and attracting good things like that. And there was a stream and they piped it and they paved it. But when we come here, again, with Mark Snyder's great help, we want to preserve those stream corridors, the natural flow of water, right? And any place where we have homes or roads, we actually want to just capture that water. And I can't say I grew up in Barrhaven, but one of my stops in life was in Barrhaven. And the stormwater ponds were concrete and rock. And it was just, it was ugly. It looked it looked like some unfinished project or something foundational and just concrete.
Yeah, very utilitarian.
Right.
Yeah, not natural at all.
And here, you see all natural landscape stormwater ponds and you see ducks in them where there weren't even ponds here before. And so the fact that the natural stream corridors are kept and all the nature trails. And so I kind of saw to my left, living off the land, to my right, living on the land. And my sense here is this is living with the land. It's not a bulldozed flat. No. And it's just the contours of the land and the stream corridors are allowed to continue to be so we can even enjoy the beauty of them and the wildlife can enjoy them. And you kind of live in the midst of nature and not, piping over and paving. So you have a spring instead of a spring street. and I think, so for me, as I've, a deep spiritual connection for me is in nature. My wife and I got married in a forest because I've never seen a building more beautiful than a forest. And so the net zero is stunning. That's really the technical side of me loves that, and the environmental side loves that. But my love of nature is it isn't bulldozing and piping and paving creation. It's kind of trying to live in the midst of it, and that's beautiful. And that shows care. People who care for this place. It's meaningful. Well, I can just tell that people coming to the model home will meet a person who is going to care for them well and try to give them the opportunity to discover this better place to call home. So thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely, it's been my pleasure.
Sharing your story and giving us some insight and then also just some of the visionary things, because you have been walking along this journey for all of the 14 years of your time in Westport.
Yes, I have.
So that's really lovely. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So we welcome you to come and visit us. Plan a time to come visit the model home. You don't need an appointment. We're open 7 days a week. You can drop by at a moment's notice and there'll be someone there to welcome you. And you can discover more about the village, more about the lifestyle that's available to you here, but most importantly, to find a home. So if you're following along on our podcast, like, follow, and share. Let people know. And if you have a comment for us, send us a note, an idea for a story or an interview that we can do, or just a comment about the content that you've heard today. So thanks again for joining us.